Yo, what's up everybody? We're back again on Chess.com's YouTube channel. This is International Master Daniel Rensch, and this is another live sessions brought to you here. If you haven't seen the first few live sessions, then check them out on our Sweet Chess Games playlist. Okay, here we have a closed Sicilian with my opponent choosing to play the early bishop to b5 variations, which are not as common as playing, let's say, a move like f4, which is a Grand Prix attack. These lines are not as common, but this is one of the ways to play it. It's actually a variation that's based on me playing e6, which allows knight to b5 for him in a great attack. But I know this trick, and I'm not going to allow it. I'm going to play knight h6 and castle. Now he's going to retreat his knight because I've defended the threat, and I have this nice shot knight to g4. If he takes it with his queen, then I get d5, unleashing a discovery on the queen and winning my piece back. And in the process of which, the point is that I'm getting decent attacking chances on the queen side, even though I've lost a pawn in that line. Again, if he had taken the knight and allowed that discovery. Here, he wants to keep playing on the king side, moves like f4 and f5, and his pawn chain, if you look at the pawns on c2, d3, and e4 are attacking toward the king side. And as usual, we'll try to back up and give you a little bit of a review to keep this thing educational as it is entertaining, and we'll do that in just a second. Here he plays h3, attacking my knight, which forces me to retreat. That's okay with me. Now I'm going to start developing counterplay on the queen side as best I can. And if he plays the move a4 here, which is a common idea, I have two ways to undermine it. I can play bishop d7 and then b5, which is not a bad idea. I can also try to voluntarily retreat the knight again and head to c5, which is actually what I'm going to do. I'm going to choose that plan here. The idea of dislodging the bishop from b3 is that when that bishop disappears, the c2 pawn becomes a much bigger weakness on my open c-file. So that's why I'm going to retreat the knight and immediately head into this c5 square and hopefully continue to create some good counterplay on the queen side. He chooses to play bishop to c4, which is perfectly fine. Now I have a couple different ideas for myself. I'm not exactly sure which one I'll go for. I can also try to trade off the bishop in this manner by playing bishop to e6, which is kind of an interesting idea here. I'm going to go ahead and do that. If he takes, because in this particular position I can even take back with the knight, immediately gaining a tempo on his bishop on g5 and opening up the c-file again for my other pieces to start attacking on the queen side. So we'll see how he handles this. If he takes on e6, even taking with the pawn might be interesting, even though I have a bunch of double pawns in the center. They're kind of flexible double pawns as they control a lot of critical squares. So both those ideas are a little bit interesting to me. It's irrelevant because he said that I will not play this way, which is okay. I can play d5 here. I can play d5 here and get him to take and undouble my pawns, but I can also just take on c4, double hits. I have this interesting move, knight takes e4, right? If he takes, I can play d3, and if he takes there, I win the rook on a1. I kind of like this idea. Knight takes e4, d takes e4, d3, he takes the queen, I take on a1, but then he plays c3, trapping my bishop. I'm not really that excited about that. So I'm going to play queen to d7 instead first, which simply threatens to go after this pawn here. And now what I'd like to do is... well, he's going for an attack, and at this point it's practically a bluff because he doesn't really have that much. I'm going to play h6, reminding him that if he ever plays f5 now, I'll play g5 and trap his bishop. And that's exactly what he does. He says he doesn't buy it. Well, I don't buy him, so we'll see who's right now. Well, I believe that g5 is the right response to f5, and that I'm going to win his bishop. And I know my king is becoming open, but I don't think he's going to succeed with that checkmate attack. So we've had a couple live sessions where I won with a checkmate attack. Let's see if I can defend my own king. I have a minute and 13 seconds. My opponent has 55 seconds, so it's always nice to be up on time when I'm also rambling and talking 1,000 miles a minute. And hopefully I've explained some about this position in terms of what black is trying to do on the queen side. I believe I was successful by winning that a-pawn. Now I'm going to play the move f6, even though it's an ugly move for my bishop. I want to create this f7 square as a potential defender, whether my queen goes there or my rook. Well, now he's going to play knight to g3, so how do I want to deal with this? Do I want to just play e5 and just open up the 7th rank? I kind of like that idea, unleashing my queen to just guard these squares and calling his bluff in terms of his attack. So let's say I just start pushing my a-pawn and create the type of counterplay that might be really hard for him to deal with. Well, he says he's going to come into h5 if I do that. Okay, so if I play rook f7, he plays knight h5, I move my king. I guess we're going to go with that kind of idea. I can even just push here And even on rook g3, can't I just push a2? If he takes, I take back. I'm trading. If he takes f6, I take. He has no mate threats. If he plays queen g6 next, that could be a problem. Then I can play queen e7. If knight takes f6, rook takes f6. If knight takes g7, queen takes g7. Okay, I only have 20 seconds, so I got to move fast. So he doesn't have anything. I was right. But the problem is that I've gotten myself under time pressure here, and so this game just got a lot more interesting than I wanted it to be. But he also just blundered, so let's see here. We got 13 seconds, and we'll see what my opponent... I have 13 seconds, he has 22 seconds. So I'm winning here, and I was winning for the majority of the game. But with that said, I don't really have a lot of time here, so I need to get an attack going as quickly as I can and try to checkmate him in the process of the attack. So let's get pawns going. Let's take some pawns. Okay, who knows what we have here? I have 3 seconds, so I'm probably going to lose on time. Okay, looks what just happened. Oh, I actually flagged my opponent, so I won on time. Well, isn't that fun, right? Well, we were both under critical time pressure, and I didn't even realize how close the game was, actually. I thought that my opponent had more time than I did, but it turns out we were just about even. I flagged him. Well, I was winning on the board, so flagging him is always exciting, and obviously that was nerve-wracking. I even stopped talking for a couple seconds, which, as everyone knows, is amazing. So anyway, again, the idea behind this line here, black wants this trick, white wants this trick where if I play e6 in order to defend the checkmate threat, he has this move knight to b5, followed by sliding the queen, and black has some issues. But I knew that idea, and so I played knight h6. This line is not very good for white in terms of if black understands this trick. And these types of positions, black gets very quick play on the queen side, as you saw in the game, and his attack on the king side is rather slow. So as the game developed, obviously I was much better and picked off this pawn, and his attack was basically bogus, but the time situation of only having a few seconds led us to really a crazy type of position. After getting the pawn to a2, here rather than king to f8, which was a horrible decision to let his queen in. A simple move like knight to d7 followed by knight to f8. Again, he can't take anything without it just being a big trade. So knight to d7 followed by knight to f8, kicking the queen back, and my king is perfectly safe. I'm ahead of piece and the game would have been over. As happened, we went for this crazy position, time scramble, where my opponent obviously should have just taken the rook on a8. As soon as he didn't, he was lost, completely lost, and the ensuing moves were basically crazy sacrifice chess. I pre-moved this move, which just gave up the rook. You know, crazy sacrifice chess because I really didn't have enough time to think. I panicked. Again, I'm probably still just completely winning in this type of position with a ton of pawns, advancing them and eventually getting a second queen. And thankfully, my opponent was just as low on time as I was, and so the game actually ended in a win for black as soon as I queened. So that was exciting, and I hope everybody enjoyed that live sessions here on Chess.com's YouTube channel. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you around on Chess.com.